Hi, I'm Simon Hill and you're watching Purebred Reds Adelaide United Fan TV.
Are you after the latest and greatest football kits, boots, goalkeeper gear, teamwear, accessories or equipment? Look no further than South Australia's very own soccer specialty store, Soccer Locker. An Australian owned and operated business, the store is located at Shop 5 of 181 to 183 Grange Road, Findon. Founded in 2012, Soccer Locker was introduced into the market to fulfill all the soccer-related needs of Australians, providing a huge range of quality clothing and equipment ranging from soccer balls, team kits, goalkeeper gear, accessories and much more. As well as stocking all current football merch from your favourite overseas teams, recently arrived stock also includes stunning retro kits from some of our favourite past eras as fans of the World Game. So get shopping now at our Findon store, open from Monday to Friday and open Saturdays from 9am to 3pm. Or visit us online and take advantage of free shipping from across Australia at soccerlocker.com.au.
G'day guys and welcome to the Purebred Reds Adelaide United Fan TV. I'm your host Ellis Gelios. We're coming to you with a preview of our game against Macarthur FC on Friday night. It's the first time in our club's history that we will ever play Macarthur, and I'm joined by a man that played for Adelaide United for 2 seasons, played 31 games and was a hero of that incredible Asian Champions League group stage campaign in 2008. I speak of Jonas Salley. Jonas, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, man. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Now we'll get back to this in the interview, but you're now the assistant coach at White City under the legend Damian Mori. You were also a reserves coach with Adelaide City going a while back. I assume that's when the connection was made with Damian Mori. Talk to us about how it's all going for you in Adelaide at the moment with White City.
Oh, it's been great. It's been great. Last year we made the final, and sadly we lost it. So sometimes you learn the hard way. So just very proud of our group. And at the moment we're just back to pre-season and just working hard to achieve our goals, which is to get promoted. So hopefully this year will be the year for us.
Going to be a very big year for White City. Jonas, we're going to quickly preview our game against Macarthur FC, and then we're going to talk about your career, which is a very interesting career, long career that you had. So let's get straight into it. The game is a 6:35 kickoff this Friday night away to Macarthur. If you can't get to the game, you can watch it on Fox Sports and the KO Sports app. No squads at the time of filming. So let's get straight into it. Jonas, we have to start with the news that Craig Goodwin is returning to Adelaide United, a special player with a championship legacy. You almost got on the park against him back in 2012 when you were at Gold Coast United, but you departed just a matter of weeks before he played against Gold Coast for Melbourne Heart. Needless to say, though, that you must rate his ability and the potential he has to change Adelaide United's fortunes when he does come back in.
Yeah, sure. I think for me, like Goodwin is a great player. Honestly, he's a great player. We saw him when he was here. We know what he did for the club before he left. So for me, like for him coming back, it is a good thing for the club. The moment we need a bit of experience at front, so I think Goodwin being there for the young boys we got, I think that we'll get there. We'll get there. So for me, coming back, it's a great win for Adelaide United and for all the fans.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So let's discuss the match last Friday night against Perth Glory. A pretty uneventful first half, which saw us take the lead and then throw it away in the second half, where we clearly lost the midfield battle and we're missing a midfielder of your mould, I think. What did you make of it? Why did we lose?
Yeah, this is just my opinion, Matt. I'm sure Carl just watched a video saying, the problem, so you need to fix. So for me, like, I believe in Carl. I believe his group, and he got a great bunch of boys that he can work with. And the game I watched again, it was a bit tough. When you play against experienced midfield like Kekene and Castro in the midfield, it's very hard for our young midfielders just to compete with them. But it's a good experience for them. I think they have to learn the hard way. Sometimes people are not they're rushing to judge. So for me, like I see a lot of positivity in that group. So I think that now it's a game we lost. We go back to work and just come back stronger. That's how I see it.
Yeah, well said. I've got to ask you about the Stefan Mork incident as well. Obviously, an interesting decision he made to say what he said at halftime. Is that a moment he'll want to take back?
Oh, it's not. For me, I think Mork is a bit mature. You should know better than that. So sometimes even though you're upset, things you can't really say in front of everybody. So but I'm sure you regret it. And that's a way, that's part of life. You learn and just move on. So for me, just I'm sure he was a bit upset, So I think that's what pushed him to say it, but that's the way it is.
Wise words.
Yeah.
It feels like all our earlier season momentum is a bit of a distant memory now with the last two losses that we've had. I want to ask you about how a team finds its way back and bounces back when players are so low on confidence. And I want to reference a certain example going back to the 2008-09 season. We just lost to Melbourne Victory 4-0 in the elimination final. Aurelio Vidmar then came out and made his infamous press conference. And then we come back against Brisbane Roar in the preliminary final. We win 1-0, and that was the greatest game that you ever had for the club. A fantastic performance in midfield for us that day. So when a team is so low on confidence, how does it find its way back and shows resilience to come back and win, which we need to do against Macarthur this Friday night?
I think at the moment now, just that we need, the experienced players like Jakobson, LC, Mork, they need to drive the team now because we've got a lot of young boys, It's the pressure and, they don't use that into that place. So for me, like the experienced players need to get the young ones around them and just tell them to believe in themselves. Because, if you don't believe in yourself, it's going to be hard to go out there and just perform 100%. So for me, it's this belief. And believe what we're coach saying, because you have a game plan, you need to stick to it and hope for the best.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, here's to hoping, I should say. You're a coach now. Tell us what you think Carl Beard needs to change in this team. What's been the main issue with our performances for you?
I think Carl, as I said, he got a lot of technical players. That's good. He got a good squad. I think the problem we're having for Adelaide United is the defensive part. I think the goal being considered, they've been too easy. We're not defending properly. Going forward is no problem. We've got a lot of attacking players. We know more Toure. We've got a lot of them there. So for me, it's no problem. This defensive side, I think we need to defend better. Because we've been making a lot of goals.
Yeah. You played centre back briefly in your career. Why are we not defending particularly well at the moment? We're leaking a lot of goals. Is there an obvious reason why that's happening for you?
I'm sure I'm not going to speak for Carl because I'm sure Carl is experienced. He played and he's been coaching before me, so I'm sure he understands why they're just being defended that way. And I'm sure he's going to twist it because he wants to reduce the goals conceded. So I have my reason, but it's just my opinion. For me, like this, closing somebody down, it doesn't really mean that you just standing there, you try to win the ball or just make your position uncomfortable. That's what you need to do. So you can just play the ball away or your position should be under pressure all the time. So it's not easy for him to make an easy pass to his teammate. So for me, at the moment, our defensive side, it's a bit passive. We just coming next to your position, but we're not really putting pressure on him. So we got time to play the ball somewhere. So I think that more pressure, I think that it will be fine.
Very good insights from the man that is now Coach Jonas Salley. Now, Macarthur FC, they're in terrific form, having just beaten the high-flying Brisbane Roar on Tuesday night in Brisbane. They've got a star-studded team. How have you assessed their presence in the A-League so far, the new boys? So far, they've been good because I've been watching most of the games now because I've got a lot of free time since I retired. So A-League's been great. So I've been watching, and Macarthur, I think
you have to be serious about them because they got a lot of good players too, and experienced players. So, it's going to be a tough game. They just won last game, and I think they're full of confidence. And as we lost a couple of games, so I think that we want to bounce back too. So it's going to be a good game to watch. And I think that, I let Carl go the game plan, and I'm saying the boys, you want to stick to that and just come back this far up. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. We hope so. It's obviously the first occasion in which we have played Macarthur. Now, is this just from a player's perspective, is this just another match, or do you think the players sort of prepare for it differently, knowing that it's a milestone event because it is the first time that we've ever played Macarthur before?
Oh, I think at the moment they're not thinking about this the milestone. They need to win a game, to get your confidence back. You need to win games. So I think at the moment, I think they just switch on and they just want to go out there, just play their football and just come back with a result. So for me, they don't really focus on the milestone. They just focus on winning the game and just start again.
Now, Jonas, I just want to ask you about the many players we have flourishing for Adelaide United who come from the African diaspora. It must be something that makes you very proud as an Australian citizen and as an Ivorian, obviously.
Honestly, as I say, I'm very proud to be, to witness that, because I remember my time there were not so many African players playing in A-League that time. So for me, that was a dream for me to see nowadays that they're getting the opportunity to express themselves, and it's been fantastic watching them, and not only them but other young boys too. You have to know, other young boys from other countries too. They just playing very well. See a lot of young boys playing. It's been great so far for the league, and it's more exciting to watch. So I've been watching every game. and watching them and try to improve all the time, and it's good. It's good.
Now, your prediction, Jonas, who wins?
Surely, Adelaide United, for sure.
Score, and who do you think will score for us?
I think more Toure will score. Most Toure will score, and we'll get one from set pieces from a defender. Our defender, LC or Jakobson, one defender will score from set piece.
So 2-0? 2-0. Done. Sounds good. Jonas, let's get into your career. Your very interesting playing career, which a lot of it was spent here in Australia. So after beginning your professional career in the Ivory Coast, in 2006, you moved to Australia to sign with South Melbourne. How did this connection come about? It's an interesting sort of way to come here with an NPL club in Victoria after playing in Ivory Coast so far away, obviously. So how did that point of connection come about?
I was in Melbourne because my father lived. My father still lives here, so he was here 30 years ago before I arrived. So I just came with my sister. So I used to, how you said, I used to play in Ivory Coast. So when I came, I was looking for a club, and I guess I used to catch a train and just go to the city looking for clubs to train, and now I couldn't find, so I had to go online. And I saw South Melbourne. I saw the address, so I called a train. I went back there. That was on Thursday. I remember it was June, Thursday. I went there. It was cold, and I was just sitting there. They were training, so I was just watching. So I want to speak to somebody that just arrived in Australia. So I played there, so I just want to train. If I'm good, you guys can keep me. And I remember the coach, assistant coach of what's his name, John, assistant coach Mark Rudin.
John Anastasiadis.
Yeah, he was a head coach of South Melbourne that time.
Yeah.
So he came across. He said, "Okay, you know what? Just come back on Monday." I said, "Okay." So I stayed there, watched their training, and I left. So Monday I came back. He said, "Okay, just come train. If you're good enough, we'll keep you." And I was impressed because it was he didn't know me, and just he allowed me to train with them, and since then, and that's how it all started. And I stayed there with them, and it was great. It was great, good club, and the family vibe, and I really enjoyed my time there too.
That's fascinating, and they are a very big club, and we do want to see them in the A-League one day, South Melbourne. Now, you obviously impressed a lot playing for South in 2006 as you were awarded an A-League contract with the now defunct New Zealand Knights, where you were a fan favourite. So talk to us about your time in New Zealand. Obviously, it must have been difficult knowing the struggles of the team, but personally, a gateway for you to having a professional career in Australia.
Yeah, definitely. That was my goal. I went to South Melbourne. It wasn't just to play for South Melbourne. They gave me a chance to just express myself, but my ultimate goal was to play A-League. So for me, like being able, after a few months, getting a contract to play in the A-League was amazing for me. And I told myself, this is not the end. I need to keep going until the end. So it was great to go to New Zealand. It was different. It was windy. I remember it was cold. I remember with summer, it was still cold, and it was great. It was great. And I remember my coach, Phil Neville. He's one of our assistants in the Premier League. He was a coach in New Zealand that time, and he was somebody, with a lot of experience. So I really enjoyed my time in New Zealand. It was tough on the pitch, but it was great for me, to be able to express myself and keep going in my career.
Can you talk to us about the kind of midfielder that you were? When you first started playing in Ivory Coast and then coming to Australia, was that role that you played in midfield changed at all, or were you always the same kind of player? What kind of player were you exactly? Sort of define it for us. Like a number 8 or a number 6, or how would you define
number 6.
it? Yeah.
I'm originally centre back.
Yep.
I didn't start like a midfield. So I was a centre back when I came, and when I went to South Melbourne, they were looking for. They asked me can you play midfield? I said yes. So that's how things started. So I said yeah, still in midfield. I'm like typical like a number 6. Like the defensive player, I guess stay in front of a back 4, back 3, how you can call it. So I'm more like defensive, just try to guard. I'm just staying in front for back 4. That's all.
Yeah. All very interesting stuff there. So after a brief stint with Sydney FC, you then moved to Adelaide United. Jonas, it was a pretty dark time for the club at the time when you came. Obviously, it was quite recently after we lost the grand final in very embarrassing circumstances to Melbourne Victory. So you signed for us in March. Tell us why Adelaide and what your relationship was like with Aurelio Vidmar when you first came.
Oh, Vidmar approached me. To be honest, Vidmar, he just took the role of a head coach, and he got in touch. He came to Melbourne. I was in Melbourne that time, so he came to Melbourne and said that now I really like you to come to Adelaide, and he told me about his project and what he was trying to do there, and I really enjoy his project, and I said, you know what, I just want to be part of your project. So if I get an opportunity, definitely I will come to Adelaide. And that time, Adelaide, yes, I came Adelaide once that time. I remember against New Zealand, not to play against Adelaide United here. That was my first time here. And I saw the series. I said, wow, that series is different. It was small. and the following year, I came here, and it was a great time. Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed my time. Yeah.
So obviously now that you call Adelaide home, when you first came, the city had a real impression on you.
Yeah, definitely. The formula, as I say, I have got a lot of time in my life. I said, I want to settle when I finish, like in a small city, just to have a family and get be time to enjoy, friends, and be able to move from A to B easily. So for me, Adelaide was a great place for me to live.
Brilliant. So let's talk about the time that you had here. So the 2007-08 season, Jonas, it wasn't a particularly happy one for Adelaide. We didn't qualify for the finals in Vidmar's first season. What are your recollections from that time?
For me, like it was a Vidmar first year as a head coach. When you start somewhere, you made a lot of mistakes and you learn from that. I think that had a group. We need a few more players, to have like a perfect group, but that's the way it is. You learn from your mistake and you move on. I think that the second year was much better. I think we got with quality players that we needed. So we were able to compete like during the Champions League and even the domestic league. So for me, like the second year was very solid compared to the first one. So I guess he learned from the first one, and he made a bit of adjustment. So it was great.
You were a key part of the team that qualified for the knockout stages of the Asian Champions League in 2008. But then due to visa issues, you were not picked to play in the Asian Champions League when we had the knockout period, which meant that you were really just utilized as a squad player, playing mainly just A-League games, obviously, which you were not content doing because obviously frustrated. You want to be playing every week and sharing those memories with the other players whilst they were competing on both fronts. So it must have been incredibly frustrating for you that second season.
Yeah, it was. It was. It would, for me, it gives me a pass, but I don't really want to dig about it. But we started very good. Being able to travel. Went to Vietnam, Japan, South Korea, and for boys, the atmosphere, and it was great. Good experience to be able to play Asian Champions League, and second part, that visa issue came in, I felt that I let the team down, I let my teammate down, so that we started great. So I wanted to finish that campaign with them, and I wasn't able to do it. It's a lot of issues. I don't want to go through that, but that's the way it is. So I think I made a decision that at the end of my last year I will leave the club.
Can I ask you about the moment behind me? That's you wrestling for the ball with Mile Jedinak. Was he one of the better players you played against in your time in Australia? Because obviously we know how much of a star he ended up becoming.
Oh, he was a strong player too. I remember he was a good player. Honestly, I play against him. No, I play against a few good ones. Honestly, you have to give credit to the player I play against. So for me, like him, he was solid in midfield, and I like the battle. When you play against your opposition, try to give you hard time, and you're able to compete in the same level. It's more exciting for the fans, it's more exciting for yourself. So for me, to play against him, it was fantastic. After the game, I said, definitely you're a good player. So it was good to compete against him.
Very interesting, very interesting. I've just got a quote here, and it will probably evoke some sadness knowing that you didn't leave on the happiest of terms. But quote from you just before you departed: "I've already made up my mind. I don't know what's going on. I was looking forward to playing here, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And that's the way it is. I'm here just training. I don't know what I'm here for. I haven't spoken to anyone about it. For me, it's not the best way. If you're not going to use someone, tell him why he's not playing." You said that just a little while before you left. It's interesting, therefore, that you've chosen to live in Adelaide post-playing career, and that you still maintain such strong connections with the club, considering that it didn't end on the happiest of terms for you. So obviously you kept networking with people from Adelaide when you left. Is that how that all came about?
Yeah, of course. For me, as I said, things happen in life, and you mature and you just move on from that. You don't really dig in the past all the time. So for me, that's the way it is. That's part of life. So for me, it happened. No one wanted it that way, but that's the way it is. So, we just move on and we learn from that. So, just keep, talking to people, and, you never know what's going to happen in the future. So, you don't just close the door and just, try to do your own thing. So for me, it was because I had a good relationship with the fans, and my time here, it was very great. Honestly, I won't lie about it. So for me, Adelaide is a great place for me. So, there's no way I wouldn't come back here. So that's my home.
I think we can all appreciate that. So let's move forward. You moved to China before it was cool to do so, Jonas, it has to be said. So you're a bit of a trailblazer, mate. Shaanxi Chunba and Chengdu Blades, the two clubs you played for at obviously during a very significant time in your career in China, because you would return there not only as a player but later on as a coach, and we'll get onto that later on as well. But you did end up retiring in China, so you spent a lot of time there. What was it like? Obviously, you spent a solid 2 seasons there before returning to Australia to play for Gold Coast United.
Yeah, as I said to the people in China, I said China is my second home. China is my second home. They treated me well, honestly. I won't lie about it. They looked after my family when I was there. So for me, like, I had a good experience there. I had a great experience with club. I still talking to the club, my first club and other clubs. So the relationship between me and those clubs stayed strong. So for me, like, it was fantastic. Different culture, but when you move to another country, you have to learn about their culture and you try to to get to mingle. So for me, that's what I did. So that's why it was so easy for me to spend at least 7 years there. So it was a fantastic time for me in China.
And you were no stranger to having to adapt culturally, obviously, a very well-traveled
Yes.
man that you were. What was the actual football side of things like? Because we know during this time it was before the mass imports started arriving from Europe, but before proper Chinese money was a thing. So what was the football side of things like for you?
I think my first 2 seasons with Shanxi Chamba, it was yeah, we had a lot of Australian players there that time. I remember we have the Griffith brothers there, we had Brendan Sankalab there, we got to at least 6 or 7 there at that time. So a lot of Australian players were going to China, and we have a few foreigners there at that time. And technically, the football was great. Technically, they're not physically, but technically they have some good players. Some good players. They're able to play the ball, the time on the floor, and it was good. It was good. It's not like so many long balls. So you adapt very quickly. And we had a lot of foreigners coaches though, so we got a different mentality how they want to play the football too. So it was just a mix of Chinese mentality and guess and European and other coaches too. So it was a good mix.
You must have flourished given that you're a physical player yourself in a league where there are not many physical players.
Yeah, I think that was my attribute. So I think that I got away with that one because I was able, to go, you know, to to stand out a lot. Because physically I was present, so it was easier for me, to adapt very quickly and to be able to impose myself in the midfield over there. So I think physically, that was a good part of my game. So I really used that just to impose myself.
Brilliant. Let's talk about Gold Coast. So a
Yeah.
very interesting and somewhat sad state of affairs to see the club being dissolved in the way that it was. What was your experience like on the Gold Coast?
Oh, in Gold Coast, for me, like I had a lot of respect for Miron. Miron wanted me to before I went to China. Miron wanted me to go to Gold Coast United, and I had playing in A League again or go to China. I guess I want to try something different, so I decided to go to China. So we kept in touch. We stayed talking about Gold Coast. No, I want you to come back and play here. I said, yeah, I wouldn't mind one day. I cannot give my words, but definitely one day I will come. So when I finished, I think it was my third season in China. We finished, so I was coming back to Australia, I guess in holiday for 4 months. So I didn't want to just sit there doing nothing. I said, you know what? I'm going to play for Gold Coast for a short-term contract. And it was a good experience. Yeah, I went there, and yeah, Clive Palmer was the president at that time, and got a few of the, Ben Aloran was there, and got a few of the boys I knew that time. So it's different. It's different. I won't say a lot about it, but the boys were good. The boys were good. Miron was fantastic, and yeah, it was a good experience for me there.
So you returned to China after your time on the Gold Coast, playing
Yeah,
with Shanghai Shengxin,
yeah,
Guangzhou Ren, and Ni Mongol Zhongyu, where you were forced to retire due to a knee injury in 2017.
yeah,
Before you tell us about that, just returning to China with those other clubs, good experience for you. You spent a long time there, obviously.
yes. Oh, yes, yes. As I say, every time I go to China, yes. For me, as I say, this is my second home. So for me, I never felt like I'm just a stranger in that country. They just welcome me both hands. So for me, like, I was always happy to go back to China.
Difficult for you being forced to retire in 2017 with a knee injury?
Oh, you know, we all had a plan. You know, you got a plan to just to see the life. Okay, you want to play maybe until you 40s or you 41, but you never know. You know, we make a plan, but we don't decide. You know, this is life. That's God's decide. So for me, you know, I was lucky enough to be able to play like for so many years. So I was supposed to retire the following year. So it happened a year earlier. So for me, so I said, okay, that's fine. So I got time to enjoy my family and my kids. So, you know, I didn't want to retire that way, but that's the way it is. So I didn't want to focus on negative part, but that's part of life.
Yeah, no, it's a good way of looking at it. So since retiring, you eventually moved back to Adelaide to live. You also played in the Legends game to honour Remembrance Day in 2018, which is a special initiative that the club has. We love to see players from the past representing the club again. So great that you have reconnected and you know, you're very much turning out and reminding the fans of how great those days were back in that 2008 period. Then in 2019, you were appointed as the assistant coach of Adelaide United's sister club, Qingdao Red Lions. We don't hear very much about the club here, Jonas. So tell us what it's like over there and what your whole experience was like with Qingdao.
Oh, Qingdao. I knew the city before because I play against the team of some teams there. So I know the city, beautiful city, livable. Qingdao is a great city. The club, I guess, the club plays in Chinese. It's like a
League
third
One.
Division. League One. Call it League One there. So yeah, it's a new club. You know, it's not like one of the strongest club in Qingdao. So we got another three, if I recall it, got another three clubs there. You got Junong, and you go Huawei. So you got another two more clubs there, plus Qingdao Red Lions. So which is like pretty new. So it was a good experience for me because I knew a few of the boys. I played against them one. They used to play in the Chinese Super League, so I knew them too. So and the boys, a lot of them, they knew me too. So it was easier for me to adapt and to be able to, you know, to train there with them and have this normal talk with that because we knew each other. So it was easier for me to integrate.
How did it come about? Who got in contact with you for that role?
Oh, I knew Pete Van der Poel. I knew him before he became
the owner
of Adelaide United. Yeah, before. Yeah, I knew him back about a few years back there. So
what, in terms of the quality of football that exists in Qingdao, are there many players at that club that could come here and do a job? We obviously saw a bit of an experiment that did not go to plan last season with a certain young player who I won't go into. But do you think there are many players there that could come and do a job here in the A-League for Adelaide United?
No, it's a lot of good players, the young players. You have to be very careful how you take a player from a small club bring to the A-League. A-League, at least, we need to have a bit of respect for the A-League club. So you can't bring a player from the third division in China, come here play in the A-League, which is like first division. So, you know, it's not the gap is too big. You know, the young ones, I think that they might be able to come here by just train with a youth team. To give them the time to adapt to see how, because Australia football is a bit physical compared to China, so they need to adapt and to see how they progress. So you have to be very careful how we balance that. So saying that Qingdao Red Lion players are able to play in A-League, no, that's impossible. Not at the moment.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So fast forwarding to the present time, you're currently serving as the assistant coach of White City alongside the legend Damian Mori.
Yes.
How's it all going? Talk to us.
I have a lot of respect for Damian. everybody I've been talking to, I said, Damian is the legend of the game. I'm very privileged to be able to be next to him and just try to pick his brain because he got a lot of knowledge, honestly. I knew Damian since my time in Adelaide City. So I used to coach the reserve, I used to coach the first team. So he used to call me over to see what he's doing for the first team. So he's somebody who's very, he's very welcoming. He can just bring you and try to help you and just see what he's doing. So Damian, I have a lot of respect for him, and he knows that I want to coach, so he try to help me in that part. So he's helping me a lot, give me some advice, so I'm listening to, and he's try to just talk a lot of stuff. So it's been great so far.
Tell us what the atmosphere is like at the club, because it's a very big season. Obviously, a lot of pressure to get promoted to the NPL after losing in the playoff final to the Lions last season. So it must get a bit tense at times. Everyone knows that White City is a big club that needs to be in the top division. How's that side of things?
I think the chairman and the owner of the club, they understood that what Damian tried to achieve to get to the top is sometimes step by step. You don't rush to get to the top. You have to have a plan. So they got a plan. So last year we almost got there. It didn't work out. So we'll just go back this year and just try to see what didn't work last year. So try to just figure out and just get a few new players and just start the season strong this year.
Jonas, just finally, you personally, what are your long-term goals? Where will we see Jonas Salley in 5 to 10 years?
Oh, I got a big plan. I got a lot of projects I'm trying to do, and I got a lot of visions. And everything is in God's hand. As I say, I don't rush to achieve stuff. If it does happen, it will happen. But I got a plan. 10 years time, God give me a chance. Hopefully I'll be coaching somewhere, maybe in Australia, maybe somewhere else. But I'll be coaching, mentoring players, young players coming through. Just because football is not only on a pitch. It's a lot of it's the mental part, how to live off the field too. It's a lot of part to be a professional player. So the young ones need to understand that yes, I'm training, I'm doing this, but it's more than that to stay in that level. So I'm able to mentor a lot of young ones. So hopefully they take on board and achieve their goals in life.
Well, Jonas Salley, it's been very, very interesting hearing about all the stories you've got in football, a very interesting career that you've had, and obviously at Adelaide United during such a fantastic period for the club, the height of any excitement that we've ever experienced, aside from winning the championship, it has to be said. We wish you all the very best with White City this year.
Thank you very much.
And all the best in your personal endeavours for the future as well. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks for having me again.
Thanks for watching, guys.